Now we're going to review some headlines on our national dailies, in the front pages of our national dailies. And as always, we'll start with the Daily Trust. Tinubu marginalizing North in resources allocation, says Kwankwaso. Why PDP moved convention from Kano to Oyo, and the main story is on page 7 of Daily Trust. Applications for new parties hit 144. The main story is on page 15. Dismissed soldier sentenced to death by hanging for robbery. The main story is on page 8. At the lower headline is why APC selected Nentawe as chairman. The story is in pages 5 and 6 of Daily Trust, and this is the much headline we can take in Daily Trust.
All right, moving on to the Punch newspaper. APC and PDP set stage for epic 2027 face-off. That is after the post-NEC meetings. At the top left, we have states slashing power tariffs must pay subsidies, said NERC. 14 villagers, a policeman killed in plateau attacks. That is on the Punch newspaper. That's on page 22. We have Natasha to serve out suspension as Senate enters a recess. That is on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
And now to Friday Guardian. How unchecked dietary supplements turn toxic, lure many to early grave. 2027 Tinubu rallies governors to performance, lures North with slots. ADC CUP kicks as Tinubu labels opposition coalition of confusion. Makinde unveils Oyo's tourism blueprint at the summit. We are not against coalition to unseat Tinubu in 2027. And at the top left, 1 trillion naira subsidy, dollarized operations threaten energy transition. That's the much we can take in The Guardian.
All right, and moving on to the Nigerian Tribune, we have at the top right, 10th Memorial Symposium for Oni Shijawadi holds today in Lagos. We still have APC Chairman What does emergence alter zoning structure? Oshun AG, Nasarawa SSG, and 55 others make new SAN list. That's on page 3. And at the bottom, we have Makinde announces tourism reset agenda at International Tourism Summit. We have more than 1,300 died globally from contaminated medicine, says WHO and UNODC. That's on page 10 of the Nigerian Tribune. That's all we can take on our national dailies. All right, joining us to review some of the headlines of the pages of today's newspapers is Theophilus Abba, Daily Trust, Director, Daily Trust Foundation. Thank you for joining us as always.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Theophilus.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
So let's start with Daily Trust. What do you think about the first headline, boldly written, Tinubu marginalizing North in resources allocation, says Kwankwaso?
Okay, when you talk about Tinubu marginalizing North, I think I would have loved if Kwankwaso came up with data, to validate what he's saying. How many projects are going on in the north? How many are going on in the south? How many are going on in the southwest, in the east, and all this and all that? Because in all parts of this country, especially if you talk about road construction, he talked about Abuja Kano road, and if you talk about road construction, it's not only Abuja Kano.
Well, actually, from Kaduna to Kano, the roads are good.
Yes.
It's from Kaduna to Abuja. That is where the issue is. And I believe that they're in construction. Sorry to interrupt, to make it really clear.
Yes. Now, the issue is that I know so many road projects have been awarded because if you talk about the road that has suffered for too long is Abuja-Lokoja road. But you see them, working on them in lots and all this and all that. So I'm thinking that, if you go to the southeast, for instance, they have their own complaints. If you go to the southwest, they have their own complaints. So these issues are across. Now, and I don't think you should blame Tinubu alone, because you have senators who come from all these geopolitical zones. Now, during the budgetary process, these senators are supposed to look at the budget, possibly put on their eyeglasses and say, okay, where are the projects? You know, the projects that affect the people where I come from, those I represent, are they represented in the budget? You understand? You know, so the senators have their own responsibilities. Then, in the process of preparing the budget, apart from the senators, there's no state that does not have a minister. You know, the ministers who come from different states should tell us what they are doing to argue for projects in their state. So, although it sounds sweet to say not, you know, but we have a common problem in this country, and that is the infrastructure across the country. There's nowhere where infrastructure is excellent. You know, it's all across the country. But I like, how he argued is, okay, it is good, you know, for all parts of the countries to have good roads. But then there's the marginalization of the north. So some of these things, we don't need to blame Tinubu alone, but the National Assembly members have to be challenged, and we need to be very clear-minded about these issues. There's a lot of money now. After removing subsidy, there's a whole lot of money now. Now, state governments are getting a lot of money. You understand? Even local governments. Recently, they shared 1.8 trillion. That's not small money. You know, in the past, you had states were getting maybe 2 billion, 3 billion. I remember there was a state governor who received 5 billion at a point, and he was dancing in his office because 5 billion was allocated from the federal, not just for a few persons. They are for all Nigerians. And as many Nigerians are interested in running for position, just give them the opportunity. Let there be justice, let there be equity. You know, let there be fairness, let there be internal democracy in these parties. It won't be simple angling to set up their own political parties.
All right, Dr. Theophilus, let's look at the Punch. Right in front, it said post-NEC meetings, APC, PDP set stage for epic 2027 face-off. And it says new APC chair Yelwata vows Tinubu's return. And on the other hand, Makinde, Bala lead PDP governors into 2027 power takeover plot. So what is your take on this?
Well, it's quite interesting because we want both, all the parties actually, want them to contest for our votes. You know, I want PDP to convince me that, the party has something different. You know, for instance, my basic concern now is not about Tinubu or any other, the candidate of the PDP. My basic concern is how can this inflation go down? How can the little money I have, sustain me and my family? You understand? Because the problem we have in Nigeria today is the value of the money that we have, the purchasing power. Now, if a political party will come and say, oh, Theophilus, now this is ABC that we're going to do to ensure that the purchasing power is boosted, to ensure that your Naira exchanges, $1 exchanges for, let's say, 300 Naira, 500 Naira. You know, I vote for that party. I don't know whether it is APC or PDP or ADC. But any party that will convince me that there is an approach that will give us more value for what we have, I will vote for that party. And that's what we have to look forward to. It's not a matter of, say, PTP or APC or ADC or Labour Party. But then we are facing what we call existential problem, where families cannot feed, where Nigerians have become beggars. In fact, where our own the integrity as Nigerians can be improved upon. You see, when recently we saw the United States that are restricting us from coming to their country, UAE restricting us, then you have UK also talking about restricting us. Why are they doing so? Because we have the pressure from Nigeria, to enter those countries. Why are they going? They want to go because of the situation in the country. You don't have jobs. You don't have. You labor from morning to night. Like I keep giving an example about the cost of labor. You are, if you are, let's say, a clerk in Nigeria, in our office in Nigeria, you work for 6 hours. You are paid, let's say, 2,000 or 3,000 Naira for 6 hours that you worked. Then your contemporary in the UK also works for 6 hours and is paid, let's say, $60 or $100 per hour for those 6 hours. I'm not saying that is the amount. By the time you look at it, why is my own labor only equivalent to 6,000 naira? Why the guy in the UK, by the time you multiply the $100 times 2,000 and something, you understand, he's getting over 20,000. Why is he getting so much and I get so little? You understand? So the value of our labor, the value of the work we do in Nigeria has to improve. The standard of living has to improve. And that is what we want these political parties to tell us. It's not about, oh, Tinubu must continue because he's entitled to 2 terms, or PDP must come back because it was in power for the, or Labour Party must. No. We want a system. We want them to tell us how they can get us out of this quagmire. You know, we are suffering. I don't know, maybe you young women are not suffering, but we are suffering. Yes. So we want a political party that will tell us how we can get out of this situation.
Absolutely.
Because there's no way in Africa. I tell you, if you look at the statistics, the GDP of Zimbabwe used to be down on the floor. It's about 2,000 GDP per capita in Zimbabwe. It's about over $2,000. And until this rebase, our own GDP per capita GDP was 824. That is Zimbabwe that we used to know. Then if you go to other African countries, you know, so we are in the same category as war-torn countries. Sudan, war-torn. Those are our friends when you talk about GDP per capita. And it's a serious issue because that tells you the value of your currency. Absolutely. That tells you what you can buy, what you cannot buy. So these are the kind of things we want the political parties to tell us. It's not about epic battle. What is epic battle? There's nothing like epic battle. We want parties that can tell us how to get us out of where we have found ourselves. That is the most important thing. Right. And I'm thinking that it's a challenge to a PDP, ADC, Labour Party. Let them tell us how we're coming out of this crisis. It's not about I want to sack Tinubu. If that one is nothing to me. You want to sack Tinubu? Go ahead and sack him. That is, personality battle. But the major thing is how are we going to cope? How are we going to survive the next 4 or 5 years?
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Theophilus. It's always a pleasure having you here. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. And that is all we can take. And with that, we've come to the end of Daybreak on Trust TV. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for Daybreak Extra so that you don't miss out on interesting, entertaining and engaging conversations as well. As always, I am Hawa Ademikiawa. Thank you for watching.
And I am Maria Medrez. I have a very nice day ahead.